Hello beautiful people, Carl here from Brrraaains Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial for sure, and it is a horror movie review time. Here we go again. Listen, while it does have inventive moments and does try to break away from some of the established formula, there is no denying that Final Destination Bloodlines is, at its core, another Final Destination film, which will please many people who are feeling nostalgic for some fun, thoughtless, cartoony violence and gore. That is not a jab at those people though. Far from it, as I am one of them most of the time. However, in this instance, I find myself unable to unchain my brain in the same way. I've enjoyed plenty of entries in this franchise, but it was tired as hell when it seemingly ended all the way back in 2011. And bringing it back, it wasn't the worst idea, provided it actually tried to do something different. Tell a different story maybe, to focus on characters and to make the horror mean something again. In some ways, Final Destination Bloodlines does do this, but in most ways, it's nothing more than a disappointment. Directed by Zach Lipovsky and Adam Stein, from a screenplay by Guy Busick and Laurie Evans Taylor, the sixth installment of the film franchise stars Caitlin Santa Juana, Teo Briones, Richard Harmon, Owen Patrick Joyner, Raya Kalestet, Anna Law, Gabrielle Rose and Tony Todd, the latter of which is in a short but poignant scene as he was very ill at the time, suffering from stomach cancer. He passed away in November 2024. Sure, it retcons his character significantly, but you know what? In this case, it's so easy to simply shrug and say, who cares? It was nice just to see him one last time. So, the story of Final Destination Bloodlines surrounds a family. A bloodline, if you will, that has been marked for death. All because Iris Campbell saved lives. Many lives, including her own. She was also pregnant at the time. This happened when she had a premonition. This premonition makes up the opening of the film and is immediately divisive. The premise, while far-fetched, is good and it does build tension nicely, especially as it comes from a very realistic place, an accident created by a rushed job. However, once it properly kicks off, it devolves into silliness on par with a cartoon, especially with some really dodgy looking CGI, although I do think that is commonplace throughout the movie. Now, there is an argument that Final Destination films have never been scary, but at least the first couple had some semblance of realism. This opening, boom. So, Iris survives, and because of that, she goes on to have kids, a son and a daughter, except death isn't going to just let this one go. I think it's at its pettiest here. So, over a period, carefully and systematically kills off everyone who survived, including their descendants who, remember, should never have been born. Iris figures it out though, working out death's grand plan, but her obsession over her isolates her from her family. That is until her granddaughter Stefani comes looking for her. Why? She's been dreaming of Iris's premonition for 2 months and needs answers. Don't ask why she's waited this long. It's the sort of questions that this film simply wants you to ignore. We all know what is going on though. Death has turned its attention to Steph and all those around her. Cousins, an uncle, her brother. If you're part of the bloodline, death is coming for you. So cue mayhem. Elaborate mayhem is only a decent Final Destination film can do. And yes, I'm calling this a decent Final Destination film. Not a great Final Destination film though, it has far too many issues for that. Some of which I think are particularly galling. Least of all its disjointed character focus that makes it feel like a different film about halfway through. Let me explain this. So suddenly it becomes a bit of a comedy with a double act who were characters already but really come into their own both as actors and characters. Some of the best bits of this film actually come from the hospital section involving these two characters. However, both end up massively overshadowing the lead, Caitlin Santa Juana, who is enjoyable enough but very forgettable. No issues with the acting, she and everyone else is good, but her character just doesn't really light up the screen. Who cares though, right? Nobody comes to a Final Destination film for characters, right? For starters, aren't we all sick of saying that? Why not have good characters as well, especially as the deaths of Final Destination Bloodline aren't amazing. Like, they're not amazing. Outside of one, I think, the MRI death that I personally quite enjoyed. The problem is this. It's cartoony. Right up to the end, where nostalgia is paid off in full. No spoilers, but you're either going to love this or you're going to roll your eyes at it. Satisfying though? Not really. Outside of what a Final Destination movie is, and it all comes back to that. This is another Final Destination film, and you're either going to love that, or I think feel wholly indifferent to it. Personally, I just wanted something more. And while what we got isn't bad, it's really not. I think it's mostly unremarkable. Here's hoping, I guess, the next one, and I do think there'll be a next one. I think this is the restart of the franchise as a whole. Let's hope the next one has just a little bit more imagination. But honestly, I doubt it. I don't know. Like I said, I just wanted something more. What do you reckon, though? You got any thoughts on it? Let me know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed what you've seen, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. It does help us out. You can find us at gbhbl.com and across all social media platforms. And if you really want to give us a bit of extra support, please consider buying us a cup of coffee over on our coffee page. Thank you.